It's me. Hi everyone, welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about my long lost life, my alter ego. I was a dancer for like most of my life and then I wasn't. Finding my identity again has been, every time I think I got it, something comes back, it's weird. It was my entire life. Who am I now that I'm not Anisha the dancer? I'm Anisha, and I'm having trouble, like, you know what, before we get too far into anything, let's see what the cards have to say. Ooh, this is a good one. Try not to compare yourself to others. Your path is yours. I think that's such an important reminder. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's such a real thing. I also think that when you subconsciously focus on what other people have, you're focused on what you don't have, which is not good for like manifesting vibes. You know, we want to like invite abundance so we can't like sit in a lack mindset. Does that make sense? You're doing great. If somebody hasn't told you recently, like, you're doing great. We're tiny little humans on this weird little earth life game. You're doing great. Let's get into it, bitches. I started realizing that I was having issues like separating with my identity of dance actually very recently, because as an adult, the first thing people ask you is, what do you do? And my answer for 20 some years was, I'm a dancer. That's what I do. And now I have to answer in a different way. I'm like, I'm a performer, or I'm an entertainer, or I work in media. Miss the days where I could just be like, yeah, I'm a dancer. Like, that's what I do. I miss having a thing that I just like did. I know I still do, like I still perform. It's hard to describe. Like, being an artist is a really tough path, to be honest. It's not like an easy field. It's not like just because I'm not dancing, I'm not doing any of the things that I did before, because something I don't think people really understand about being a dancer or an actor or even a musician, like really when you're just trying to make money off of your art, you have to do a whole bunch of other things on the side just for it to be feasible most of the time. It's rare to find just a dancer who literally pays all of their bills just with performing. Most of the time they also teach, or they choreograph, or they get into like other artistic hobbies. A lot of them become photographers, directors, actors, hosting, like all sorts of things. I supplemented my dance income with like everything under the sun. I was like jack of all trades is the best way to describe me. I did a stint as a makeup artist. I was hosting, acting, like I ran businesses and studios, and I taught. Teaching was like a huge part of my like soul and like being, and like I ran dance organizations. Like I loved what I did because it was such a well-rounded, like it was the perfect ADHD job. And it was also something that I had just always wanted. You know, I left home at 17, and it is cool. It's actually a lot cooler than I think I used to give myself credit for. I cannot believe how young I was. And I was so dumb. Oh my God. I saved up like $1,000 and I moved to Vancouver. Chaotic. Nowadays, there's actually no way that I would be able to do what I did back then with the state of the economy. Like, and that's pretty crazy because that's only, you know, it's only 10 years ago. Okay. 11. So I wanted to work like commercially and in theater. I didn't really know, you know, there's a lot of avenues you can take as a dancer and an artist. It's kind of like a little bit confusing in a lot of ways. I was like this close to going to a theater school. I got accepted and I really was like so close to going, but you weren't allowed to audition. And I just knew that I like really wanted to jump in. I knew I had the chops to like get in the industry and like do the dang thing. So I ended up actually giving up my spot. I like rejected, I don't know, all forms of like what the acceptable path of a young adult is, like university, like learn what you're doing and then like go. I was like, I don't need to learn anything. I can just go. That was the best part about, I really miss, like, more than anything, I miss like that part of myself. I felt untouchable. I felt like I could do anything. I felt so passionate, and to chase after your dreams like that at such a young age, I mean, it was such a cool thing to do. And I like fucking did it, you guys. Like, I worked all over the world. I ended up moving to Toronto and signing with a big agency and got really into TV and film. And that's how I really found my rhythm as like an actor and a host. Like I was saying, you know, you kind of have to hone those skills outside of dance because it's hard to make money off of just like one art form, especially when you're starting out. It was sick. I loved it. I loved what I did. I thought it was so cool. I didn't realize like how much it had like kind of taken over my identity until after it was taken away from me. It's interesting. It happened during the pandemic. So it was already like kind of a weird time, but the day before the accident, I was auditioning. It was like the first audition since everything had closed down. And I did this, I had to sing and dance and tap dance, kick, all sorts of things. I was in the studio for like 8 hours making this self-tape. And the next day I was T-boned, just like on my way home. Somebody ran a red light. In the blink of an eye, my whole like existence just changed. Because I was right on track. I was like, I wanted to be a dancer. So what did I do? I became a freaking dancer. That's just like, that's what it was. And now it was like, okay, well, you can't do that. An injury is death for a dancer. I knew that I was going to age out. Everybody ages out of dance at some point, but like, it's not really what you think. I worked with dancers in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Also, when you work in film and TV, there's different roles to play. I wanted to do this forever. I wanted to be in that world forever. I really thought that I had healed a lot of the grief that came from losing this career. I've like found my footing. I started something different. I went into social media. There's like so many cool and amazing things that I could be so grateful for. But I am not dancing. And nothing really like replaces that. I think because I did it for so long, like since I was 3 years old, it just I don't even feel like myself anymore. Like, I don't even like, who am I if I'm not dancing? For anybody out there that's ever gone through like some sort of legal battle, oh my gosh, my heart is with you. Wow, not fun. People don't really get what it's like being a dancer. So I think like I'm misunderstood a lot of the time, even in the like legal terms. Sometimes they're like, what does that even mean? Because it's like, sure, I can put both my arms up by my side and that's like normal for people. But like I used to do whacking and I used to be able to put my elbow and like arms like on either side. Like I used to be able to do crazy things with my arms. So it's like, sure, I might appear normal, but I'm still not the same person. And also like even on a more simple level, my injury list is pretty long. I got a ton of nerve damage down my left side. Like I can't really do much with it. And it like gives out a lot of the time. The concussion also has just been really weird. Like the memory loss, I like slip up words, I'm slurring words. I can't deal with loud music, big lights, migraines nonstop. I've got all these like weird like neck and head. And like, I used to be so strong, so athletic, like total baddie. And I can like hardly do like 3 push-ups. I did 3 push-ups and it was like a really big celebration for me. Man, is that just a bruise to the ego. I'm having trouble with like that. I just like being the shell. The identity of being a dancer and an athlete and a performer, it like seeps into every part of your soul. So it's like, yes, it sucks that I'm injured. It sucks that I'm healing this part, but it's also like, oh my God, I put so much emphasis on my physical abilities. Like that was like, I identified with that. It's so lonely because so many people just like expect you to be better, or they think that you're going to be better all of a sudden. And you're just like, you're not. Like I still get calls for people like being like, oh, do you want this dance job? And I'm like, no, like I can't dance. I can't be relied on. I can't, memorize choreography. I don't know if my body is going to give out. I have incredible fatigue. I'm not strong. I can't spin. I can't balance. Like there's so many important things about dance that I just can't do anymore because of this accident. I think that like really just sucks. What a sucky thing. I don't know. I know that there's many amazing other things in my life. And I think that's been the lesson. I had to figure out who I was maybe without all of this, but I didn't want to have to do that. I guess now is as good of a time as any to tell you about today's look, or shrine rather. It's just the awards from over the years, the dance bips and bobs and parts of my life. Yeah, some are my sisters, and I don't know, I'm in a place where I feel like I need to defend how serious this was for me, because this legal battle is, the other side is really just doing everything they can to discredit me, and they started using my social media against me. So I felt like I needed to make some sort of like statement. I thought about including footage from, behind the scenes of me suffering and really showing what that's like, but I don't know, I post so much of my life online, and my chronic pain, this is a really vulnerable part of myself that I don't want to open up to judgment. So I'm going to save it for the legal battle. But I thought in place of that, I could show how like deeply this life was embedded in my soul. And you can see that in these dusty old trophies. And believe me, I know how lucky I was to have had access to this life. And that's exactly why I don't want to let an insurance company convince me that I've lost nothing. So I'm going to keep bitching about it because these companies silence so many people and I don't want to be one of them. the other insurance company, Aviva Insurance, come into a meeting with me and look me square in the eyes and say, we don't think anything's wrong with you. Like I would just decide to give up this life that I had. You know, they love to say like, well, you make more money with social media now. And I'm like, do you really think that I got into dance because I wanted to make money? Like, I'm sorry. Sure, there's long-term goals and stuff, but let's be honest, artists are in this game for like the love of it. I didn't want to do social media. This is a backup plan, and this is something that I saved myself with. I can still perform, I can still entertain, and I like, you know, get the rest and the care that I need because I'm like fucking not even 30 and I needed to move back home so my parents could take care of me because I could hardly do the dishes. I could hardly wash my face or my hair. But you know, they say because I'm active on social media that there's nothing wrong with me. Like they see me. One thing that really got me is they made a big deal about me going to the bar or to a couple of raves. And that was like a huge deal for me because I avoided crowds and raves and things like that because they were just sort of overwhelming for me. But now I go with earplugs and some close friends, and yeah, I have to stay at the back, and yeah, I do. It takes me like a week to recover, but I'm not going to post that online. I'm going to show the fun stuff. And also like, it's my only time that I get to dance. I just want to feel free. It's the only place that I can dance and be in control of it. You know, nobody's paying me for it. I'm not teaching. I'm not like being relied on. So it's a little bit safer because, you know, I can take a break when I need to. And it's not like stamina or memory or like, there's reasons why I can groove still, you know, but I can't work as a dancer. Like a big difference. That small little like groovy video to get out on the internet, they don't see how much I had to like do to get even there because social media is just a highlight reel. You see what goes out, but so much more is behind it. You know, I'm not going to post how much pain I'm in all the time. I'm not going to post that I'm just sad and depressed. Like I do sometimes because I think it's important to be honest, but I'm like working so hard to feel better and I'm getting there, but I like still just don't really know. So I still feel very lost. Like I just feel like there's this huge missing part of myself. And I don't know if I'll ever get that missing piece back. When I think about this problem that I'm facing about like separating my identity from dance, it honestly like happened a lot earlier on. Even while I was working as a dancer, it sometimes felt like I was like trapped in this weird world because as much as dance is an amazing job, I mean, it was my dream. I loved so much about it, but it also like, it gave me a lot of trauma. There were a lot of not great experiences. And if you've been following the podcast this whole time, you'll remember Andrea from a few episodes back. In the diagnosis episode, we chatted about ADHD. Now, Andrea is a very multifaceted, talented human being. She also happens to be a dancer. And when we were chatting, we went on like a whole little tangent about the industry. And I shared some stories about some of the more negative experiences I've had in the dance world. That was the day that I knew you were the coolest bitch ever, is when I saw that you were surfing. Yeah, and you were surfing and you were telling me about skateboarding that same day, and then the week before you had told me about dance, and I was she's a dancer and a surfer and a skateboarder, like it just all happened at once.
We should be clear for people who don't live in Toronto that I surf on the Great Lakes, which is harder than surfing on the ocean because I've done both.
Tell them.
And it is harder surfing on the Great Lakes, and you have to do it in the winter because that's when all the good waves are, so you need a thicker wetsuit, so you need to be stronger, and it's scarier because you know, like when you see beautiful pictures of surfing and the sun's shining down, it's this crystal blue water and like someone's in a cute little bikini or like cute little board shorts.
Not the vibe.
Not the vibe.
Yeah, you are really like in a full wetsuit mid-January, Canada, Great Lakes, freezing cold.
Yes. The coldest I've gone out in is like, I think it was between -13 and -15.
That is so cool.
Yeah. I want to talk about working memory.
Oh.
And because I wanted to pivot on, I'm so bad at learning choreo. I'm actively bad.
Okay.
And
memory.
Some people are like, but the more you practice, the better you'll get.
No.
I am still terrible.
That's fine. Honestly,
and then I get stressed out about it.
You just gotta own it. Do you know how many times I have not like completely effed the choreo?
No,
like,
tell me. How many times have you effed it?
Many times. I do this dance so fast, like the craziest, just wild. I completely fucked it, and we had to do it like 3 at a time, and so it was like not hidden that I was like completely fucking it, but I owned this shit so hard that I basically like improv'd, and I kept my eye on the other dancers, and anytime a part would come up that I would remember, I'd join back in, and then I'd lose it again, and then I just like improv, and I made it look so like this was supposed to happen. Like I just played it off so well that they fucking loved it, and they were like,
Of course, because
they
you were
like,
performing,
"Hey," yeah,
and they'll be like, nobody else will know,
Yeah.
and you knew enough to like watch where you were
Yeah.
with everyone else.
I stayed on beat, and
Yeah.
if that happened in a show, what I showed that I could do was keep the show going.
Yeah.
I showed that I'm an entertainer. All right, I'm not a dancer. I'm an entertainer. And so I did make it to the next round. I didn't end up booking that job. I made it all the way to the end. This is actually such a silly story.
Ooh.
All the way to the end, and I basically had the job, and then they looked at my resume and they were like, "Oh, you're Canadian. I'm so sorry. We need an American." And handed it back to me. I was 17 years old.
So you would have gotten the job,
Yeah.
except for Canadian discrimination.
Yeah, for a Canadian company.
What? Rude.
Yeah. Rude as hell.
They could have sponsored you.
2 days of auditioning. 16 hours the first day, 16 hours the second day. It was the hardest audition I've ever done in
Why
my
do they
entire
make
life.
You auditioned for so long.
They are sadistic. You said you wanted to be a professional dancer? You want to know more?
Yeah, I
keep
do.
going.
Okay, but I have a question. How are you supposed to be good after 16 hours? You don't even perform for 16 hours. You
well,
perform for like an hour and a half.
It's crazy.
That's bananas.
It's hustle. It's like they want to break you down. And also there's so many people too.
Right.
That's part of why it gets so
Oh,
long.
it just
There's
takes a
like,
long time to
there's
see
hundreds
everyone.
and thousands of people.
Right.
But yeah, auditions are like super messed up.
I already know I'd never be a professional because I have a long torso and short legs, and the dancer body type is a short torso, long legs. I'm okay with that.
I have a
You
long
know what it's
torso.
really good for? Surfing, though.
True. On the Great
Low-
Lakes. in
lower center of
Ontario.
gravity.
Literally.
You have long legs, so it's different.
That's true. I have a long everything. I'm
Yeah.
literally basically like one
Lanky.
big lankster.
Lanky.
I am lanky as fuck.
Everyone
That's
loves a
true.
lanky dancer.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a short, stumpy dancer.
False. Things are changing.
Who's a
Hip-hop.
famous stumpy
Okay,
dancer?
You know what?
Name one.
No, I'm gonna blow your mind. Are you
Okay,
ready for this?
yes.
Between the two of us, okay, which one do you think people want to watch do soca? Between the two of us, who do you think is gonna excel in dance hall or soca?
Me, obviously.
It's not gonna be me. Yeah.
Yo, I
Okay.
killed that
I
choreo.
bet you did.
Yeah.
My teeny little bum trying to shake it. All I'm doing is moving bones. It's a disaster. When you talk about like our body differences and
Yeah.
you say like I have this like whatever skinny, lanky, perfect dancer body.
Yeah.
And I've done a job where I booked the job. I went right. Oh, I just bowed my mic. I did a job and I got right to the end. Like got the job. They're like clapping. Oh, congratulations! Welcome to the class. Blah, blah, blah. We're gonna have you try on the costumes now. So I go to the assistant, whatever, and she's like, "Here, try on this costume." She holds up this bodysuit that's literally made for a 4-year-old. Like, I'm like,
What?
this is tiny, and I'm very small.
Yeah, you're very slender.
I'm 5'7", but
Yeah.
I'm also like the arms and the legs. But this is a bodysuit, okay? We're not
Yeah.
talking about the arms and the legs. We're talking about just the
I'm
torso.
sorry, but if a tiny bodysuit didn't fit you, who would it fit?
Exactly. So I'm like, this is like, guys, this is way too small. And they're like, oh, okay, and I'm like, can you get it altered? And they're like, no, we don't do that. So you're just gonna, and they cut me from the job. They were like, so sorry. And then to make matters worse, I go to the director. I'm like, should I go? And they're like, yeah. Could you actually send in that girl that had the brown hair? The one that was a little bit shorter than you? I'm dead ass serious. And I was like, okay. Luckily, it was my friend's. So I was like happy to go and tell her. But I was like, it was awful. And like,
Wow.
to be this
That's
size,
horrific.
Appalling. Like, that should have never
Oh,
happened.
that's gross.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Who, like the people they picked, were they just...
Oh, they were tiny. I mean, these girls. And like, the thing is like,
Gosh.
I wasn't the tiniest dancer. Like, you'd be shocked to know that because at the end of the day, like, I am
I actually
tall.
wouldn't be. I've seen some dance people.
They're tiny,
Yeah,
man. Like,
they're
they are
tiny.
like very, very like, and they're short also.
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
one thing. It's like, I am on the taller end of like women, I think. I'm a little bit above average.
Right.
And that's not the only time that I've been told
That's
that I'm too
rude.
fat. The first time I remember being told that I was basically too fat. I was like 10 years old in dance class and I was pulling up, I was doing ballet, and you have to like, ballet, you got to get that perfect posture, right? So
Yeah.
it's all about pushing your pelvis down, and then it's not about sucking your tummy in, it's about pulling your hip flexors up. It's a very different feeling.
It's like
a lot of the best way to describe it oftentimes is to pull your tummy up.
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of teachers would say to you, which was very hard for people to hear, even though it is something that is kind of a part of the
I'm even like
thing.
doing it now. I'm like practicing.
Yeah, like for real, I know it's so hard not
Okay.
to. But I remember my teacher came over and she smacked me on the stomach and she said, "I can see your breakfast and I don't want to." And I was like, "Ugh." And so I stopped eating breakfast before class because why the hell wouldn't I? Obviously.
Yeah.
And she would pinch like the little fat that would stick out. And we're wearing leotards.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, of course
Ugh.
it's tight. Like, you're going to get a
Yeah.
bit of skin on the outside. And like,
Yeah.
we're children.
Oh, I don't like that.
All the time. I don't think professional dance is for anyone. I think it can be really fun. And you know what? If you want to go for it, go for it. But be ready. It is going to be the hardest grind of your entire life. And you will break down and it will take every bit of you. And if you're willing to give that to your art, hell, I'm an artist through and through. I respect it, but you're going to cry a lot.
That is not a ringing endorsement.
No, it's not. I really wouldn't recommend it.
But okay, what was your best moment in dance?
It gave me so much. There's so much goodness that comes from dance. It's like, it taught me how to work with people. It taught me how to get in touch with my body. It taught me how to make people feel things. And as a host, and like what I want to accomplish in the world is making people feel things. And I think part of the reason why I'm good with people is because of how good I am in my body. And I can feel people and I can feel that like physical exchange. So I think it gave me a lot of cool stuff. And it's like, it made me really cool. And I'm like hot as hell. Like dancers are hot.
Dancers are hot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do wish sometimes I resent, or I don't resent, but I am jealous of how you can bring that freedom to dance and how that hasn't been tainted for you. Because that is something, if you love dance and you don't feel the need to do it professionally, like you don't have that like, I must, don't do it. Enjoy it. Dance is one of the greatest things that human life has to offer. It's like the simplest pleasure. And not being able to connect in that way is something that I just find so sad that I'm still working on.
I also think that you bring up a good point. So like I am, as we've established, old. No, I'm not old. I'm 40.
She's
but
hot.
There's no possible way that I would ever fall into a professional dancing career. So it takes all the pressure off.
True.
And then you can just have the joy of like, and just enjoying it. Or like the joy of progress, because I like to see progress,
That's
right?
true. The challenge.
But then it's also just like, oh, if you're like, didn't do something good, you're just like, whatever, nobody cares.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. It's great.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Did you want to be a professional dancer?
When I was little, I would have loved to. Yeah. I grew up in the middle of nowhere though. So it was
That's
never
fair.
a possibility. But like, if I had grown up in Toronto, probably I would have tried. Yeah.
You didn't miss out.
I'm really glad because I don't have an eating disorder because of it.
Tell me. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you.
And everyone that I know in dance or in gymnastics
has had one.
Yeah.
Of course. It's like a rite of passage.
I do not have
you get
one.
called fat all the time.
I have a really regular, maybe even a bit of a
fantastic.
gluttonous attitude to food.
I actually even said that to you when we were talking about meds, and I was
Yeah.
like, if you have any, like, if you ever struggle to eat, like,
Yeah.
it can affect that. And you were like, I have never once struggled to eat in my life. I can't really tell the story of being an artist without mentioning my big sister Tara, because she is the reason I did any of this. I basically am just a copycat of her. Little sister things, you know, you get it. Tara and I did a beauty episode. Actually, it was the first podcast episode ever. You should totally go and watch it. Also, slight update. I've been drinking that green smoothie like almost every day for a few months now. And I gotta tell you, the skin, the energy, everything about it is great. Tara was right. She is right about most things. She is my big sister, and I just believe her. As I started venturing into the industry, Tara was really my person of contact. She was my mentor, and she has had an amazing career, really finding her passion in acting.
I always loved dance, but I didn't necessarily loved the like technique that you need for dance. And I wasn't ever like, I never had dreams of being like a backup dancer or touring. I did like the idea of maybe doing musicals. Like what I think the theater did in high school was it kind of combined that performance with like a character, and dance is such a like, you know, you can use it in so many areas, and it just sort of like strengthens that
Artist.
Yeah, that artist, and sort of like your body is part of your instrument. So I think like it just being connected to your breath and being connected to your body, and sort of like there's been some things that I've had to work on because of dance, but
I can see why you got into theater, because I remember you did some theater stuff when you first moved to Toronto. When did you first transition into TV?
when I first moved, I was mostly dancing, and I was going to classes, and that was just sort of the like route that I knew. And somebody had gotten me into a agency in Toronto. They said, you know, we'll put you at the theater, but we also want to put you in the film and TV department. And I was like, great. I don't know. I just like fell into it, and I just immediately like liked it so much more. There was something just so fun about it. And I mean, it's been a roller coaster with the film and TV, but sometimes when things go with ease and things kind of line up, you're just sort of meant to go in that path. And I just sort of like, I don't even know if it was a conscious decision to really stop dance or theater, but it just sort of naturally happened. And yeah.
That kind of makes sense. I mean, one of your first big roles did include dance and singing, actually, too. Baxter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And that was like, I was 20, I think, 21.
God, that's crazy. You were so young.
Yeah, which was only like 2 or 3 years ago.
You said that so seriously, I didn't even catch that.
acting.
It's true. Something you'll notice about artists is that they are just like die hard for the art. They pour everything into these like jobs. Actors understand this like better than anyone because you have to pour like literal emotions into a role, and like you can't really separate the self from the emotion, so they feel very real. I mean, I know people give Ariana Grande like a lot of crap for her like kind of malleability in personality, but I think it has a lot to do with the work that she's doing. Also, I mean, look at Jennifer Lawrence. Like, she has never been the same actor after she did that role in Mother where she had to play like a really traumatizing role, and she's spoken about that. You're probably thinking artists are crazy, or like why do people even do it? And like, I know. I honestly, I don't know.
I think what's important to recognize is nothing is personal in this business. It's not personal. They are not being like, I think she looks like a bitch, and I heard that like she, you know, like cheated on her boyfriend, and like I don't want to bring her. I mean, maybe that's happened like once, but they don't care about you. I think that's the thing, is like the industry does not care who you are or what you have, or how hard you've worked, or any of that stuff. And it's because it's so hard to get stuff made that they just need you to fill the thing.
Yeah.
And then be a good person and be professional and show up to set and know your stuff and bring something to the table and know story. Know like, what is my role here? Not like this is the Tara show, but is my role here to simply serve the series regular and lobby them up to have their moment?
Yes.
You know, or is it to be the, you know, opposite of them so that they can like, so the audience can root for them and you hate this other person? Like, what's your role? I'm really recognizing that it's just not about you, and that as long as you continue to put out good work, you continue to evolve, you continue to like really work on, there's the acting part of it, but it's just like, it's so things, the industry has changed so much in the last few years. And I think it's like, you have to love yourself, be confident in yourself, know your worth, know what you're putting out there, know like, I'm good no matter what. This person isn't going to, you know, make or break my day. And I think you have to get to that part. Yeah. It's a long game. It's a long, long, long career. And, you know, this fallacy of if I don't make it in my 20s or when I'm like you know, on a CW show, it's just no, it's not the case. And I think also creating your own content, if that's, you know, getting into writing, getting into you know, writing is permissionless, right? You can just write. Acting is not. I mean, you can act, you can do tapes and do classes and stuff like that, but
you're like doing somebody else's vision.
Yeah.
I was even just thinking about how you recently jumped back into improv just
I love
for fun. And like, how different has that been for you? Because you haven't done that in quite a while.
No, I haven't. I mean, we're in Los Angeles, where the best improv, you know, Groundlings, UCB. I'm taking UCB right now, and again, I think it's recognizing who you are and how you show up. And then when you work with other people, you're like, oh, that's so funny. Like, you are so this person. No matter what you do, you're still this person.
Right.
You know, I'm not meek. I'm not quiet. I show up. I'm tall. I like, you know, have a presence. And for so long, I try to like dull it and be like, oh, I'll just fit in. Right. And instead of, it's just like, no, this is who I am. Some people are going to think I'm fucking annoying.
Great.
I am sometimes. Like,
same.
You know, it's a great exercise in knowing thyself. I think there's such a beauty in actors, because you have to face all parts of yourself, and you have to like really, the dark parts and the light parts and the like, all that stuff you can't hide, because the moment you hide, you can't bring it to any sort of characters. And so I think that's like
so true.
One of the best parts of being an actor is like fully embracing who you are.
Yeah. I miss dancing. Man, I miss it so much. I just come alive when I dance. It's such a gift for me and for anybody watching. So I miss it, and I hope that one day I'll get back to the studio. But more than anything, I hope that this court case just comes to an end so that I can move on with my life. It's really shown me that like silent struggles, you know, everybody's battling their own thing. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that's why we're just like so fed up these days, because we all just have so much shit, and it's like nobody really knows what's going on. So have a little bit of extra compassion, because you never know what somebody's going through. People are carrying a lot of shit these days. It's a tough world out there. So That's my story. Thank you so much for opening your mind up with me today. Don't forget to be kind to yourself and to others, okay? I love you. Bye.